I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and all the prophets of the different camps for pushing this truth in 100% sincerity. And shalom to the sisters and brothers that may be tuning in. Not sure what I'm going to call this, but I think I'll call it nothing new under the sun, because this is going into how there were Israelites back in the day and today that both did and did not follow the commandments. So a lot of Israelites went off. They went to terroring the world. They went about partying, taking part in the gymnos, living with the heathens, partying with the heathens, all that stuff back in the time. So there's nothing new under the sun. Although we were changed, through Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, bless us with that spirit. But I'm going to start here at 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. I'm going to read it in the NLT here. It says, Don't you realize that those who do wrong will not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh? Don't fool yourself. Those who indulge in sexual sin or worship idols or commit adultery or are male prostitutes or practice homosexuality or are thieves or greedy people or drunkards or are abusive or cheat people, none of these will inherit the kingdom of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right, and that already checks off some of these so-called leaders of other camps, because they cheat people. They sell the word. You're not supposed to sell the word, right? And ones that came out that were getting pegged and all these things, doing sexual immoralities, right? Some of you were once like that, but you were cleansed, right? And that's that's GMS. That's Lord willing, that's GMS, the apostles of GMS and on down, Lord willing. But you were cleansed, you were made holy, you were made right with Yahweh by calling on the name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. So these camps that say the name isn't important, it's like, it's right here. By calling on the name, right? In verse 12, you say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. And again, this goes back to these other camps. You say you can eat pork. They say you don't need to say the name. You can call him whatever you want, which is foolishness, right? It says, but not everything is good for you. And even though I am allowed, quote unquote, to do everything, I must not become a slave to anything, right? It's like, come on, if you use common sense, or these guys don't use common sense. I'm just going to screenshot this for later, but these guys don't use common sense. They don't read the scriptures, man. They err not knowing. As apostles always say, they err not knowing the scriptures. Because if they read it, they wouldn't be saying the foolishness that they say. You don't need to know the name of Yahweh. Like, what? And I'm going to jump over to Psalms 106 and 34, because this is what Jake was doing back in the day. Israel failed to, and this goes with the apologists, the Israel apologists that are like that want to live with the heathens, be with the heathens. They're like, oh, we must save the heathens too, and they need to be destroyed and reformed in the future. And the so-called elite of this world need to go through what they need to go through slavery, right? Verse 34, Israel failed to destroy the nations in the land as Yahweh had commanded them. Instead, they mingled among the pagans and adopted their evil customs, like today. They taking part in these holidays, doing a whole bunch of debauchery, a whole bunch of foolishness, homosexuality, all this stuff, right? They worship their idols, which led to the downfall. There's a whole bunch of different idols today that they worship. Baal is just one of them, right? But even these different doctrines that different so-called camps or people have started. Again, different holidays, so-called holy days. They're not. They're based on different idols, right? Which led to their downfall. They even sacrificed their sons and their daughters to the demons, so like the so-called elites of these worlds. And you see this in the Black Boule, right? All of a sudden, for some reason, almost all of these famous people, their kids go off in some way. They become gay. They do something. They do something. Transgender. They become gay. They do something. They even sacrifice their sons and their daughters to the demons. They shed innocent blood, the blood of their sons and their daughters, by sacrificing them to the idols of Canaan. They polluted the land with murder. They defiled themselves by their evil deeds, and their love of idols was adultery in the sight of Yahweh. Right? And this is why Yahweh's anger burned against his people, and he abhorreth his own special possession. Right? This is why, man, if it wasn't for Yahweh Shai, we'd be destroyed already. That's the only reason we have grace right now. Because for how much we go off, man, we'd have been destroyed a long time ago. He handed them over to pagan nations, and they were ruled by those who hated them. That's slavery, right? That's a slavery. Their enemies crushed them and brought them under their cruel power. And again he rescued them, but they chose to rebel against him, and they were finally destroyed by their sin. Anyhow, I'm going to jump over to Amos from here, but I'm just, again, nothing new under the sun. This stuff was happening in the past, and the people didn't learn from slavery, didn't learn from none of that. Nowadays, they're like, oh, why would God do this if he loved us? He did it because we kept going off no matter what he provided us. No matter what he gave us, our people kept going off. And those same spirits are out there today, reincarnated and going off again, and just in a new, different body. Amos 6:4, how terrible for you who sprawl on ivory beds and lounge on your couches, eating the meat of tender lambs from the flock and a choice of calves fattened in the stall. You sing trivial songs to the sound of the harp and fancy yourselves to be great musicians like David. Right? Going out and partying, and these other so-called camps that say they're following the high holy days but do it incorrectly, eating pork on the high holy day. You drink wine by the bowlful and perfume yourselves with fragrant lotions. You care nothing about the ruin of your nation. Hey man, this is what's that purple group called again? I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they're leading a lot of people astray. They told people to take the jab. That alone. And they're telling people that they can have sex on the Sabbath and foolishness, right? They care not about the ruin of their nation. Therefore, you'll be the first to be led away as captives. Suddenly, all your parties will end. Amen. So when shit hits the fan, they may be the first people to jump on to see hit. The sovereign power, Yahweh, has sworn by his own name, and this is what he, our power, Yahweh of heaven's armies, says. I despise the arrogance of Israel and hate the fortresses. He hates him. He wants to destroy them. I will give the city and everything in it to their enemies. Right? Yeah, man. And that's what Israel brought upon themselves. And I'm going to jump to 1 Maccabees 1:11, because this is what Israel went into, right? This is why he was so, one of the reasons, or just another example of why he's so angry at them. In those days went there out Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make covenant with the heathen and that are around about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. It's like, it's hard to follow the laws. I would rather just go and do debauchery with the heathens, go to diddy parties. That's what they want to go and do. Right? So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them a license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, which can even be the government today. They push this stuff. They push the transgenderism and all this foolishness. The whole Pride Month where they could ride around the city naked. Like what? Made no damn sense. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. They built a fit for less on the holy place, right? These were actual Jews. These were Israelites. But they went off and they went to build a gym in Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen. And that means they're out there with the heathens exercising naked. The men and women there, or I'm not sure if the men and women were in the gyms as well, but the Greeks were known to train naked, right? So if you go to, have it here open, gymnasium, it says place of exercise, public place where athlete exercise are practiced. In plural, bodily exercise from gymnasium, where is it? Gymnos, right here. To train naked from gymnos, naked from the Naugo suffix naked. Yeah, so to train naked from gymnos. That's what they're doing out there, which is more debauchery, right? Where was I? And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief, right? So they were uncircumcised, meaning without the law. They stopped following the scriptures. They stopped following the law. Not just physical uncircumcision, because a lot of them were born circumcised physically, but they made this choice here to stop following the law, right? So, yeah, man, again, nothing new under the sun. That's people today. The heathen were known as uncircumcised, but our people became uncircumcised with them. I had another, what was that precept that I was going to, I think I had it, here we go, yeah, Jeremiah 9:26. Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon, so Judah's in there, right? And Moab and all that are in the utmost corners, that dwell in the wilderness, for all these nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart, which your heart means your mind, your lob, right? So they were they were uncircumcised in their mind. They weren't following the scriptures. They weren't following the laws. And I want to jump down to verse 23 here. And he took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made great massacre and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel. Salak. I meant to go here. Next. That's right. First Maccabees 2:20 first. Bear with me for a second here. Yet I will, and my son. So this is with Mattathias. He had a lot of, zeal for the scriptures, and he decided that, him and some other people decided they were going to follow the scriptures no matter what, right? Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers, which is, the laws of the scriptures. Yahweh forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. Are these camps not seeing this? Are they not reading this? I guess some of them don't believe in the Maccabees and this portion of the Bible, but man, it's here, right? We will not hearken to the king's words and go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left, right? So the Levites and other nations that decided they will follow the scriptures and laws, right? There was an order that you couldn't profess, for example, yourself as a Jew, and they wanted to go against such laws. They weren't going to hearken to the laws that made them put Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai aside. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. Right? So he was sacrificing according to the king's commandment, meaning he was probably sacrificing pork, something that was profane, something that was against the scriptures. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal. So he was furious. Just like when, the brothers are preaching on the roads and people do some foolishness or come up and try to correct us. Slack. Excuse me. I think I have some allergies there, Salak. Like when the brothers are preaching on the street, and people come up and say people have come up and said they have something to teach them about the Bible, or they have words that they could teach God, right, Yahweh. So he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to the judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Right. Also, the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. So yeah, man, that's the energy we want to move it today, but we can't physically do those things because we'll end up in jail. Of course, it's not expedient. It's lawful, but not expedient. But that's the energy that we have inside. That's why a lot of Israelites we're GMS, we're a lot of pent up anger because we see all this foolishness going on day to day with the government, stuff they're doing. Just a whole bunch of foolishness, and we want to come up with this zeal, but if you do this, we go to jail. But again, that's the zeal that Mattathias had. It's beautiful to see. And verse 45, I'm going to jump down here just to finish off. Then Mattathias and his friends went around about and pulled down altars, and what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. And I believe that was a physical circumcision they performed. Right? So they went and took matters into their own hand. They were pursued also after proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. But yeah, that's essentially it. So again, there's nothing new under the sun. The same thing was going on back in the day. Israelites going off, eating pork, profaning the Sabbath, saying Yahweh's name isn't important, doing all kinds of debauchery. And then there were Israelites with the zeal back then as well. Although, we can't, like I said, we can't go around killing these people and destroying these things, but have the zeal. We can still have the zeal of the scriptures, zeal of of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. And on that note, I'm going to close up here. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem HaKadosh, and double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and other, prophets of other camps, and shalom to the few sisters and brothers that may be tuning in.